Hey, welcome to Chelder, where we dig into the most fascinating parts of history. And today, we're diving deep into one of the most intense, action-packed periods ever, the Crusades. You might think religious wars, but oh no, it's way more than just that. We're talking knights, sieges, and some seriously epic failures. Whether you're a history buff or just here for the drama, stick around for 30 facts that'll make you say, did that really happen? Fact number one. The Crusades were a series of religious wars. The Crusades were essentially a marathon of wars that lasted for centuries, where the primary goal was to reclaim Jerusalem and other holy sites in the Middle East. The Christian armies, motivated by religious zeal, marched eastward starting in 1096. Think of it as a religious road trip, but with a lot more armor and a lot less sightseeing. Fact number two. The First Crusade was called by Pope Urban II in 1095. In 1095, Pope Urban II gave a fiery speech in Clermont, France, which basically said, "Let's take back Jerusalem." His call to arms was so convincing that thousands of knights and peasants took off to fight. What Urban didn't mention, the logistics, starvation, and way too many bad ideas that followed. But hey, it worked and they went full steam ahead. Fact number three. Crusaders were promised indulgences. Want to wipe the slate clean of all your sins? Well, Pope Urban II had you covered. By joining the Crusades, the Pope promised complete forgiveness of sins. It was like a heavenly get-out-of-jail-free card. Except this time, the jail was eternal damnation. Sounds like a pretty good deal if you ask me, especially for those looking to spice up their afterlife. Fact number four. The Crusades involved many different European nations. The Crusades weren't a one-nation show. They were Europe's version of the Avengers. Knights, nobles, and soldiers from all across Europe joined in, including England, France, Germany, and Spain. It was basically the 12th century equivalent of everyone getting in on a group project, except with a lot more swords and a lot less cooperation. Fact number five. The Crusaders established Crusader states in the Holy Land. After their victorious conquest of Jerusalem in the First Crusade, the Crusaders set up shop. They established several Crusader states like the Kingdom of Jerusalem, County of Tripoli, and the Principality of Antioch. It was like medieval real estate, with a dash of "this place is ours now." But the locals didn't quite see it the same way, and the Crusaders' reign was far from secure. Fact number six. The Second Crusade was a failure. The Second Crusade was supposed to be the big redemption tour. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out. The goal was to recapture Edessa, but after a series of unfortunate events and poor strategic decisions, it ended in disaster. It's like the Crusades' version of a sequel that everyone hoped would be better, but was just not. Fact number seven. Richard the Lionheart was a key figure in the Third Crusade. Richard the Lionheart, England's rockstar king, led the Third Crusade like a total boss. Despite not being able to retake Jerusalem, he struck a deal with Saladin to allow Christian pilgrims to visit the Holy City. He may not have won the prize, but he at least got everyone a good trip to Jerusalem. A tour guide on a mission. Fact number eight. Saladin was a revered Muslim leader. Saladin was the superhero of the Muslim world during the Crusades. He was a brilliant military strategist, and when he recaptured Jerusalem in 1187, he showed mercy to many of the Crusaders and even allowed them to leave with dignity. He was a true gentleman, armed to the teeth, but with a lot of grace. Saladin was the medieval version of a legend. Fact number nine. The Fourth Crusade diverted from its original goal. The Fourth Crusade is the ultimate example of oops, we messed up. Originally aimed at capturing Jerusalem, the Crusaders were sidetracked by political turmoil and, somehow, ended up sacking Constantinople in 1204. Instead of a glorious conquest, they caused chaos and weakened the Byzantine Empire. Think of it as the Crusades' most dramatic plot twist. Fact number 10. The Crusaders fought in both Europe and the Middle East. While the Middle East is the most famous battleground, the Crusades were like a European vacation gone wrong. There were also major campaigns in the Baltic, known as the Northern Crusades. These were essentially medieval-style missions to spread Christianity to the pagans of the north. It was Christianity's very own expansion pack. Fact number 11. The Children's Crusade was a tragic event. The Children's Crusade in 1212 is one of the most heartbreaking stories from the Crusades. Thousands of children, believing they could peacefully reclaim Jerusalem, set off, but many were sold into slavery or died along the way. So, maybe leave the heavy lifting to the adults next time? A tragic, misguided attempt at a holy mission that didn't end well. Fact number 12. Crusaders fought with swords, but also with faith. While swords and armor were the physical tools of war, Crusaders believed their ultimate weapon was their faith. They truly thought they were fighting for divine will, with God on their side. Some of them probably should have read the fine print, subject to unforeseen failures, but eternal salvation guaranteed. Fact number 13. The Crusades led to significant cultural exchange. Though the Crusades are mostly known for their violence, they also sparked some major cultural exchanges. Crusaders brought back new knowledge in math, science, and medicine, and merchants opened up trade routes between Europe and the Middle East. Basically, the Crusades were a medieval version of international travel, and with fewer souvenirs and more bloodshed. Fact number 14. The Crusades fueled the rise of the Inquisition. The same fervor for religious purity that drove the Crusades also gave rise to the Inquisition. Inquisitors, with their own holy wars against heretics, rounded up non-believers and dissidents. It's like the Crusades decided to keep going, just now with less swords and more burning stakes. Not a fun chapter in history. Fact number 15. The term crusade comes from the Latin word crux. Crusade comes from the Latin word crux, meaning cross. Crusaders wore crosses on their clothing to show they were part of the holy mission, which makes sense because they weren't exactly trying to hide what they were doing. Hey, I'm fighting for God, but here's my branded shirt to make it official. Fact number 16. The Crusades helped increase the power of the papacy. The Pope was essentially the CEO of the Crusades, calling the shots and rallying people to the cause. By leveraging the belief that God was on the Pope's side, the papacy grew even more powerful during the Crusades. It's like the Pope's PR campaign on a global scale, except with more swords. Fact number 17. The siege of Jerusalem during the First Crusade was brutal. When the Crusaders captured Jerusalem in 1099, they didn't just win. It was more like a blood-soaked victory. The city was brutalized, and many of its Muslim and Jewish residents were slaughtered. The First Crusade set the tone for what was to come. If by tone you mean extreme violence and a lot of very angry people. Fact number 18. Crusader Knights formed a special class. Crusader Knights weren't just warriors. They were high-status figures in medieval society. Often from noble families, they took vows and dedicated their lives to the Crusades. They were like medieval rock stars, except instead of concerts, they had swords and shields. Fact number 19. The Crusades helped shape the future of Europe. The Crusades weren't just about fighting. They also reshaped Europe. They led to the rise of powerful monarchies, new trade routes, and advancements in science. So while they didn't exactly create the most peaceful outcomes, the Crusades left a lasting legacy in shaping European history. Fact number 20. The Crusades weakened the Byzantine Empire. The Fourth Crusade sacking of Constantinople was one of the most catastrophic events for the Byzantine Empire. Although the empire limped along for a few more decades, it was left severely weakened. Think of it as an empire that had too many internal problems, and the Crusaders just came in to finish the job. Fact number 21. The Crusades weren't just about religion. While religion played a massive role, the Crusades also had political and economic motivations. Kings and nobles saw it as a chance to gain land and power, while merchants saw the opportunity to expand trade routes. It was the medieval equivalent of a big, bloody business deal. Fact number 22. The Crusades helped break down the feudal system, that be why sending knights and nobles off to war. The Crusades helped shift the feudal system. Lords and their armies were away, so they lost control over their lands, leading to a redistribution of power. The Crusades were like the world's worst, most chaotic version of a corporate restructuring. Fact number 23. The Crusaders used siege weapons. Crusaders didn't just bring their swords. They brought the big guns of medieval warfare. Trebuchets, battering rams, and siege towers were used to breach city walls. Think of it as medieval warfare's answer to going big or going home. Walls? Not a problem. Fact number 24. Mercenaries fought for anyone who could pay them. Mercenaries, who weren't bound by any noble cause, fought for whoever could pay them. These hired guns were a major part of the Crusades and often played a big role in the battles. So, if you're looking for the job side of the Crusades, this was definitely it. Fact number 25. The Crusades saw the rise of powerful military orders. During the Crusades, several powerful military orders were established, such as the Knights Templar, the Teutonic Knights, and the Knights Hospitaller. These orders were not only military forces, but also religious organizations with vast wealth and influence. They played a crucial role in the Crusades and later in the politics of medieval Europe. Fact number 26. The Crusades were marked by terrible violence. The Crusades were often marked by extreme violence. In addition to the famous battles and sieges, the Crusaders carried out massacres of civilians, especially during the First Crusade in Jerusalem. The brutality of these wars has left a lasting scar on the history of the Middle East and Europe. Fact number 27. The Crusaders were influenced by earlier Islamic wars. The Crusaders were not the first to launch religious wars in the Middle East. Prior to the Crusades, the expansion of Islam had already involved a series of military campaigns to spread the faith. The Crusaders' idea of holy war was influenced by the earlier Islamic conquests, which were similarly motivated by religious zeal. Fact number 28. The Crusades had a lasting impact on the Muslim world. The Crusades had a profound effect on the Muslim world. The long period of conflict with the Crusaders led to the development of a strong sense of Islamic unity, particularly under leaders like Saladin. The Crusades also led to the strengthening of Muslim cities and the spread of Islamic culture. Fact number 29. The Crusades were not entirely unsuccessful. Despite many failures, the Crusades did achieve some successes. For instance, the First Crusade successfully captured Jerusalem and several other key cities in the Holy Land. Additionally, the Crusades helped establish lasting trade routes between Europe and the Middle East. Fact number 30. The legacy of the Crusades is still felt today. The legacy of the Crusades can still be felt in modern times. The conflicts between the Christian and Muslim worlds, the political divisions in the Middle East, and the cultural exchanges between East and West all trace their roots back to the Crusades. While many of the Crusades' immediate goals were not fully achieved, their impact on the course of history is undeniable. And there you have it, 30 fascinating facts about the Crusades that you probably didn't learn in school. The good, the bad, and the truly bizarre. History is full of wild stories like this, so don't forget to subscribe to Chelder for more mind-blowing facts that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. And hey, if you enjoyed this, hit that like button because, every time you do, a knight gets a shiny new sword or not. See you next time.